the Better.com layoff saga continues to get better. You will never guess what they just did now. Stick around and I'll tell you more. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I want to bring you more from the Better.com saga that keeps getting weirder and weirder by the month. And in case you were not familiar with the original Better.com story, I will leave a link to a video that I created about Vishal Garg, who is the CEO of Better.com. You probably remember him as the CEO who laid off 900 people on a Zoom call that went viral. Well, the backlash was severe and swift, and it actually caused him to step down for a hot minute. But apparently he's back in charge and his handiwork is seemingly not done yet. So if you're not familiar, check out that video. It's absolutely bizarre and they really need to make a mini series about this. Unbelievably, the story keeps getting more and more crazy. Now the latest is that there is another layoff with a major snafu. And yes, you heard me correctly. They screwed up another layoff. So as a result of the first video that I recorded, I had several people reaching out to me that were insiders at Better.com and actually some active employees. So they started to inform me that everything on the news was very accurate, that there was a toxic work culture and that they were kind of on pins and needles at the workplace. I've had them continue to give me updates as the story has progressed. And I got an email from one of them earlier today, shortly before this story broke and went national. For the sake of respecting his anonymity, I'm just going to block out his name, but he says, so it's going down at Better.com. Read TechCrunch, 4,000 to be hit. I'm assuming 4,000 layoffs. Doing this like the morons that they are. Other teammates who bank with credit unions were able to see larger pending deposits in their bank accounts. I don't use a credit union, so I'm left hanging. We can't review our pay stubs because they have turned off access, and we have over 250 loans still in queue, so business is actually starting to pick up as they do this. So ever since the 900-person layoff in November, there has been no clear communication to us, and with Vishal Garg coming back, it's been a slap in the face with no repercussions to him. I'll be glad when it's over. I mean, certainly you should be glad when this saga is over. So I'm sitting here reading this, trying to decipher what exactly is happening, because at the time, the story hadn't really fully come out. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, so people who have credit unions were able to see larger pending deposits. And it dawned on me, were they sending their severance checks to people's accounts without telling them? And that's how people were finding out. And it got me going down the rabbit hole even further. And suddenly on my LinkedIn feed, I started seeing a bunch of different people from Better talking about this exact thing. So here's a person who says, today I found out via my banking app that I was laid off from Better, and I would say that I'm shocked, but I'm more heartbroken than anything else. So she goes to her banking app to find out that she's gotten laid off. I moved as a single mom across the new city, and basically she's spent all these hours preparing, and she understood that layoffs could happen, but she just didn't understand how the company could communicate the news in this regard. I would appreciate any leads or opportunities anyone has to offer. So this poor woman is in dire straits in this situation. So then there's another one that says, after 1.5 years of Better mortgage, surviving the pandemic and squeaking by the first round of the layoffs back in December, the time has come. And I hate to say it, but I was unceremoniously laid off this morning with 4,000 other wonderful colleagues. No callbacks, no written confirmation at the time of posting, but a quick unannounced shutdown of my computer and deletion of company apps from my phone that has driven me to the same conclusion as many today. So that's how they're letting people know, is by shutting down their computers and their laptops. So literally the computer stopped working, and people are seeing seemingly severance packages that are hitting their bank accounts, and that's literally what's tipping them off. So there's been no formal communication at this point, and people are left scratching their heads. So I mean, they're literally trying to figure out, am I laid off or not? But I guess when you log into your banking account and you know where your bank account, you see a severance check that shows up from your employer, I guess that's probably a pretty good sign. Or if you log into your computer and it says you no longer have access to something that you used to have, I guess it's probably a reasonable deduction to assume that you no longer have a job. And then the news comes out. It is official that, sure enough, mass layoffs at the digital mortgage lender Better.com have reportedly started. According to employees at other sources, the affected workers were finding out by seeing severance checks on their Workday account, which is the company's payroll app. So this says that these layoffs were meant to be announced on March 9th, and as I record this, it's March 8th. So the following day, but one employee who wishes to remain anonymous told TechCrunch, where I guess broke the story, told them that they accidentally rolled out the severance pay slips too early. Like, holy crap. Better.com's execs reportedly planned the layoffs for March 8th, but moved the date to the 9th when news of the initial date was leaked. Like, talk about a circus clown show of a leadership team. How these people, it begs me to ask the question of, how do these people get into leadership positions to begin with? You sit around and you look at people who get promoted, and they're supposed to be the best and the brightest, but clearly we can draw our own conclusions about the Better.com team. Okay, so apparently, it goes on to say, apparently when the execs realized their mistake, they deleted the checks from some people's Workday accounts. So you saw your severance account and then they're like, whoopsie daisy, and now it's gone again. And according to the employee, the severance checks arrived without any additional communication from the company. Like, literally, a severance check just shows up in your bank account. You can't log onto your computer anymore. I mean, I guess that's one way to save on labor costs from a human resource department, where you don't have to tell anybody. You let them use their deductive reasoning to figure it out. But one employee says, Better layoffs have started. Severance shows on our Workday app, which is payroll as of 12 a.m. respective time zone. No email, no call, no nothing. This was handled disgustingly, which we wouldn't expect it any other way from Better.com. So then the employee says, who has had an inkling that the cuts were coming, added that leadership remained absolutely silent, never acknowledging anything in regards to the layoffs. And as of the writing of this article, which is as of today, they still haven't made any mention of this layoff, or this pending layoff. So it's an estimated that they're literally laying off nearly half of their workforce. And the numbers looking like basically just right over 3,000. And apparently a spokesman came on and confirmed that the figure was accurate, and that there was a shared link to an email that the CFO Kevin Ryan ended up sending to employees on the matter after that payroll blip. So the email to the employees finally, not even the people who were responsible, but so we recognize Kevin Ryan from the last video, but evidently he sends off another email finally communicating that they had to adjust to the volatility of the interest rate environment and refinancing world. And unfortunately, that means that we have to take difficult steps to streamline our operations further and limit workforce in the US and India in substantial ways. So then they go on to thank the people who were part of the team as they walk out the door. They apparently get locked out of the door. And then he says, our strongest days lie ahead. Kevin, I'm pretty sure they don't at this point. Pretty sure we can make a conclusion that your strongest days were probably the day the company was founded. And then that's about it. But according to employees at the company, the email that was sent out and notifying staff that current market conditions led to the mass layoff was to be sent in the morning of the 9th. And then later on, an email affecting managers would be sent to the safe managers, so that they would be taking over management of the remaining team members, and impacted employees would then be notified by email. And then there would be an all-hands-on meeting planned for those who escaped the layoffs. Are you really escaping the layoffs? I feel like you're being punished at this point if you're still there. The level of ineptness in this organization, you could write books on it. I fully expect to see this being studied at Harvard Business Review as a case study on how to not handle your business. And if you're somebody that is at Better.com and has survived this layoff, why are you considering even staying there at this point? Have some self-worth and look at the market that's around you. Anybody that stays at Better.com needs to start updating their resume and getting out of that incredibly toxic work environment. Now let's talk about the HR department for a second. How could you allow something like this to happen, where you had a video go viral about how your CEO laid people off through a Zoom call? And if that wasn't bad enough, you would think that they would be extraordinarily cautious and potentially even bringing in outside consultants to help them figure out the best way to message this. But clearly, the inept leadership at better.com figured that they were fully capable of handling this themselves, and see the result. And so I'm just sitting here trying to understand how this could possibly happen and what level of ineptness is in both the leadership team and in the human resources department. So I'm going to offer this to you. If you're watching this and you're from better.com, specifically if you're in their human resources department or executive leadership team, this is a formal invite for you to come on my channel and discuss your perspective, why this happened the way it happened. I would love to hear from you. So reach out to me through my website. So if you want to know all the other salacious details about the toxic work environment, the craziness that is the executive leadership story, I have a couple of videos. I would certainly encourage you to go check them out. But if you're better.com employees, find a better opportunity. And if you are struggling with finding a better opportunity, like the woman who is a single mom who just got laid off, I would implore you to go watch my channel, go onto my website, because this is something that I specialize in. And I have a website called Life After Layoff, which is designed to teach people exactly like you how to navigate the post-layoff environment and ultimately to get back on your feet as quickly as possible. I do that through a couple of training courses. The first one is Resume Rocketfuel. You need a solid resume in order to get that first round interview, and Resume Rocketfuel teaches you exactly how to write one. So go and check that out. If you need help getting through the individual interviews themselves, that's where the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp comes in, and it's going to teach you how to go through each step of that interview process, gives you insider tips on how to ace each step, gives you all the confidence that you need to be able to land a dream offer that doesn't have better.com signing your paychecks. So this story is just so bizarre. I had to bring you an update. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.